NeverEmployed Podcast.
Funny that you say that you wanted to have additional income streams on one hand, because I guess that being a firefighter is a quite secure job. At least here in Germany, it's quite secure. I don't know about you. And on the other hand, it's interesting because Bryce, whom I've interviewed some time ago, he had the same point that he had his, I think, a sales job, and then just wanted to have another income stream, and just got into real estate that way.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, I mean, the fire department, first responders, it's a very secure job, the pension, great benefits. And that's definitely what I was headed down. I was planning to do my 25 years and just ride off into the sunset. But like the lockdowns just, I saw people losing their jobs or getting laid off. And fortunately, I was still able to work. It was very eye-opening that, I was being very risky. What if I got hurt? What if I got hurt on the job, or what if something happened and I wasn't able to fulfill the requirements to get my full pension and whatnot? So it just made me reevaluate things. And I was just like, I have equity, I have, opportunities that I think I'm wasting now that I look at it. But so, kind of going back a little bit, but me and my son's mom, split up during COVID. It was kind of a rough time for a lot of people. But anyways, we separated, and we're still friends. Everything works. But my friend was investing at this time in Pittsburgh. And, he kept talking to me about it. And, I had equity in my property, and I had all this time on my hand now. So I was like, I'm gonna take a chance, and I'm gonna go down this road and look into real estate investing. And that's kind of how it all started. And it was supposed to be a slow process. Like I was gonna just get one and kind of see how I liked it and see how it went. But after one, I was kind of like, this just makes way more sense than doing the traditional, 401k and deferred comp and retirement programs. And I went all in, and I, took everything out of my retirement accounts that I could, took the penalties and invested it into hard assets in real estate.
So then this real estate investing is actually your personal insurance as well as retirement.
Yeah. I mean, the way I look at it now is it's something that I have more control over, so for example, to start this, I took things out of my retirement. I closed my retirement accounts, and I had to take a penalty for it, right? It's my money, I invested it, but yet there's all these restrictions and penalties, like if you access it early or if you want to use it. And it just really reinforced that I was thinking that I was making a better decision to put it into real estate, where I have more control over it. I have cash flow that comes in where I can use to reinvest. Whereas, I was putting money in my retirement accounts, but yet I wasn't generating any cash flow monthly where I could use to pay expenses or to reinvest in other opportunities. So, but definitely I think I made the right decision to head down the real estate path.
So you already mentioned that you're all in on real estate right now, so you're not an active firefighter anymore?
No. So yeah, I'm still a firefighter. I mean, if I wanted, so I have a total of 16 years in the fire service. If I want my full benefits, I'd have to do 25 years of service. And for me, where I'm at right now, I just feel like I'm losing a lot of opportunities from the real estate side by working the W-2 as a firefighter. And I still like the job. I still love it. It's just, for me, it's because of that mindset shift of generating, passive income, and the whole thought of working just for a pension and benefits kind of now is on the back burner. And my focus is building my real estate portfolio, building my real estate brand. And that way, so the plan is that I'm probably gonna retire early from the fire service, maybe within the next, hopefully 4 to 5 years. And then by that time, hopefully my real estate brand is kind of just running more on referrals and kind of just everything is built up so where it's kind of just running on its own.
Lawrence Briggs also asked this on Instagram, on my Instagram story. How do you manage being a firefighter and investing in real estate at the same time, basically?
Oh yeah, he told me he submitted a question. So I was like, oh man, what did he submit? But so the department that I'm in, we work 24-hour shifts. So we work 3 shifts. So we work one on, one off. So we work 24 hours on, 24 hours off, 24 hours on, 24 hours off. And so we work 3 shifts, and then we have 4 days off. So yes, we do have a very flexible schedule. It's just, however, you are at the station, 24 hours a day. So a lot of times, probably earlier in the day, there's, training classes, maintenance that we have to take care of. After a certain time, it's kind of your free time as far as, working out or, maybe, unless the captain has something planned or or of course, if there's calls that we have to respond to. But after a certain point, it's kind of, your time. It's kind of, you're free to do what you need to do. So a lot of times, if all the work's done and we're kind of just down for the day, that's when I'll be, studying, real estate stuff or looking at listings, taking care of dealing with my property manager. So I have a property manager in Pittsburgh who manages my properties. Right now I have 3 vacancies, so we're working on that as finding tenants. So there's times to do it while I'm at the firehouse. There's downtime. But of course, you never know when a call is going to come in or if there's training for the day. And that's what I was kind of saying, like, I still enjoy the job, but at the same time, I feel like, my heart is somewhere else right now as far as the real estate side. And that's where my passion is. And I feel like being at the firehouse 24 hours a day also kind of slows down my progress on the real estate side. So that's why I'm hoping to get out in 4 to 5 years. And if I wasn't living in Hawaii, I think definitely I'd be retired now. I mean, the cost of living and everything here is so high that, that's kind of where a lot of the expenses are, like, for my primary residence. And I don't know if you want to go into that, but I feel like I made a lot of mistakes early in life, by buying a primary residence and these other, because, that's the dream, right? We're always told, oh, get a house and get a primary house. And the way I look at it now is I could have done things a lot differently and would have catapulted, my results and my progress.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, better late than not at all, or however you say.
Definitely, yeah.
Do you see points where, working as a firefighter, being a firefighter also helps you in your real estate investing?
Yeah, definitely. I think it helps me kind of just see life from a different lens a little bit. And I think for me, I see that, like, we go to a lot of calls where, like the siblings or the children are taking care of the parents, but the parents are old and, maybe they didn't do the best planning financially or retirement wise, or, so that's why the kids are having to either move back in with them, or the kids had to, maybe they were living in another state and they had to move back home because their parents are getting old. They got to take care of them, and, putting them in care homes and whatnot is pretty expensive. So, we see a lot of those type of situations, and it really kind of gets me thinking about how my future is going to be and how I don't want to be a burden for my son when I get older. I don't want to have to force him to worry about my finances. So that's also where this whole real estate and generating passive income and a portfolio that I can also pass down to him, when the time comes. But it just gets me thinking where I don't want to be a burden for him. I don't want to be a burden for my son to where, maybe he is living somewhere else and, I get to a point where I can't take care of myself. And, what if he has a family? Am I gonna, expect him to pick up and come back here to take care of me? So it just makes me see things differently as far as planning better for the future and taking my finances into my own hands to where nobody else really has to worry about me.
Earlier, you said that you wish you could focus more on real estate. What I see among quite some real estate investors who are already invested in several properties is that in the long run, they could potentially live well off their property and can generate nice cash flows. But the problem in real estate often seems to be in the now. The cash flow is probably not enough right now so that you can live out of that. So that you're forced in the beginning to get enough real estate so that the cash flow is high enough right now so that you can double down on that.
Yeah, definitely. It's, a lot of social media people make it as if it's easy that, passive income or cash flow is easily attainable. And it can be, but it does take time. So like you're saying, especially in the beginning, yeah, you might be generating some cash flow in the beginning, but it really takes a few years for it to really start to snowball. And, for a lot of people, they start off maybe one or two properties. And in the beginning, most of the expenses that you might encounter, like maintenance or repairs, you feel it more from your pocket because your portfolio is smaller. So everything that you have to fix up or repair, you feel it in your pocket, and you're like, man, is this for me? But that's where the scaling comes in. And once you're able to build that portfolio, now when you have these maintenance expenses that come up, now the portfolio is kind of paying for the expenses. So you don't really feel it as much. So that's why scaling is also important, because now once you get a certain amount of properties, now the properties are kind of paying for all the repairs on its own. So it makes it a lot more manageable. But definitely in the beginning, yes, it's a slower process. The cash flow is not as much. And especially with the rates being higher now and prices going up so much, for purchases, that the cash flow has shrunk in a lot of markets. So definitely in the beginning, it is a slow process. And that's kind of maybe one of the mistakes I made. And I like to tell people, a lot of people that I'm trying to help, that for me, I think I scaled too quickly. So I got like 14 properties fairly quick in my portfolio. And I think the issue was I didn't prepare well with reserves. Like I didn't think, I thought I had enough reserves. And I like to joke around and tell people that I think the first maybe 4 properties I got kind of tricked me, where they just went smooth, no hiccups, no problems. And I was just like, oh, this is an easy process. I'm going to get more. And then, there's vacancies and expenses. And, so a lot of the properties that I did purchase, I got them at great deals, but, I purchased them during the winter time. And, for me being in Hawaii, I'm like, oh, it's sunny out here in wintertime, and, it doesn't really affect too much people as far as moving or renting a new place. Whereas Pittsburgh, where I'm investing, not too many people are looking to move during the winter time. So I had a lot more vacancies when I first got the properties than I expected. And so that's one thing I try to tell new investors is definitely, make sure you have enough reserves and you plan well for that. Because for me, that probably has slowed me down a little bit. So even though I scaled quickly, not preparing well with the reserves has probably slowed down my process a little bit.
So you are mainly focusing on buy and hold in general, or what's your overall strategy?
Yeah, I'm a boring, buy and hold long-term rental. And that's what I also like about real estate is that there's so many different strategies out there. There's the BRRRR method, there's short-term rentals, there's fix and flip, people can do wholesaling, and they're all great. You just got to find, your lane. And, for me, especially doing it at such a great distance, for me, the boring buy and hold right now is what I'm focusing on. However, I feel once I get my portfolio to a certain level, that's when I might start dabbling in maybe, I wouldn't say risky, but maybe strategies that take a little more work, like maybe short-term rentals or even the BRRRR method. But at least if my portfolio is stable and I'm generating a certain amount of cash flow, then I'd be willing to learn and make some mistakes in like a BRRRR method where I have to do a lot of rehab, or like a short-term rental where, possibly there could be vacancies, or the regulations could change in that market. But at least my portfolio would allow me to kind of, weather the storm a little bit if something went wrong.
What would you do different nowadays if you would start again?
Man, start sooner. I would definitely read more and get better educated. Finances, economy, real estate. Just, I did the traditional. I went, graduated with honors in high school. I went to college. I got a degree in accounting and finance. And, I was headed down the traditional path. And what I really noticed is I never learned about how to really purchase a home. I didn't learn about credit. I didn't learn about, even though I got a degree in financing, I didn't really learn about these things that the wealthy know about, and it's very eye-opening that all this resources and information is out there. However, you have to go and find it. And to me, that's what I would definitely do different, is try to start this path sooner and be around people that are doing it so that I can get on this path and also help others. But definitely that's one thing I would do different from a mindset and education wise. But from a real estate side, I know I kind of touched on it, but for me, definitely, I think I made a mistake buying a primary residence first, because, Hawaii is very expensive. And it pretty much, yes, we get great appreciation and that's nice. However, it's that whole, is your home an asset or liability, right? I have this home, but it doesn't put money in my pocket. And, every month it's taking money out of my pocket, basically, whereas I could be renting for cheaper in Hawaii, in the area that I live, and then I could be using that money that I'm saving to invest in other assets. And then down the road, when I'm generating enough cash flow, then I could maybe come back and buy something that I want. But having this primary residence, it kind of handcuffs you a little bit as far as how much you can invest. And the good thing though is I was able to tap into the equity through a HELOC, which helps, but just, the down payment and all these type of things. And I joke about it a lot, but every time I'm doing the yard, like cutting the grass or having something to fix in the house, I'm always complaining about it, that my home is not an asset, right? Like I'm spending time fixing things up, and or you're having to pay someone to fix the air conditioner or something, but it basically is taking money out of my pocket every month. Yeah.
That's an interesting point of view. And what's also interesting for me is that you already mentioned that you're investing quite far away. So how do you manage that? And do you think that it makes you more free compared to other investors, or how's that for you?
I think it takes a lot for that first one. If you are going to invest remotely or out of state, that first purchase is definitely the most difficult. I like to I forgot what book I read it in, but they were talking about out-of-state investing and how to kind of get over that fear of not being next or close to your property or where you could just drive and see it. It's kind of like, if you take your car to the mechanic for a repair, a lot of times, they're going to look under the hood, see what's wrong, and they're going to tell you this, and this. And for a lot of people, myself included, I'm not going to really know what they're talking about. Like, I'm not going to know exactly what they're telling me. I might have a slight idea, but when they get very technical about it, I'm really not going to know what they're looking at or what they're saying is wrong. And it's kind of like the same thing, my properties are over 4,000 miles away. Even if I was there, for me, especially in the beginning, I really wouldn't know specifically what I'm looking at as far as what could be wrong with this house. I mean, the things that stick out, obviously, yes, you're going to notice, but there's a lot of things that, even now, if I walk into a home, a lot of times I'm like, oh, it looks nice, right? You're not really looking for all these details. And that's kind of how I kind of got over the fear that whether the property's here or the property's 4,000 miles away, I'm not going to know that much of a difference as if it was here and I was able to walk the property myself. So that was something I had to get over. But definitely for me, I like that you can live, where you want, but you invest where the numbers make sense, right? And that's, I think, the most important thing is finding what works best for you. And, there's people that are investing in Hawaii, even though it's super expensive. There's people that are making it work here and they're more comfortable. So you just have to find your comfort level. And for me, if maybe you're only going to get like a 4% return by investing in Hawaii because it's so expensive. But if that's your comfort level and 4%, that's what you're shooting for, right? So you just got to know the numbers and your comfort level.
What do you think? Where's your comfort level in the coming months and years? So what are your plans for the near future?
Yeah, so for me, I'm really just trying to get myself in a good position to take advantage of. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities coming up in the next few years, especially like in the commercial space. I think there's a lot of commercial properties that have bad debt structures on them, where there's floating rate debt or adjustable rate debt. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities in that area. So I'm really trying to kind of tighten up all my finances so that I can take out probably a max level HELOC on my primary residence, and then look to use that to deploy hopefully end of this year. And I'm also just really focusing on trying to build my brand right now. And, because the market is down, the real estate market is slow in most areas. So I'm trying to build my brand more now. And so that's also why I'm trying to leverage my W-2 as a firefighter, where I have this stable job where I can focus on building my brand. I hate to say it, but I think there was a lot of realtors that jumped into this market in the past few years while everything was so crazy hot. And, maybe they left their W-2 or they left their other job and they went all in on real estate. And since the market has slowed, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of realtors that maybe exit the market and are looking for other jobs soon. So I feel like that's my opportunity and to build my brand so that when the market does shift, that I'll be top of mind and it'll be a lot of referral base. And so that's kind of what I'm focusing on right now, is building my brand. And I'm also, I have my own YouTube channel, and I'm trying to help a lot of other individuals start out-of-state investing or remote investing, especially if they live in places that are maybe too expensive or where the numbers don't make sense, and they're looking at trying to find a market to make the numbers work, and how to get over that hump or get over that fear of that first step of how to get started.
Is there anything, any way people may help you on this journey? Any challenges at the moment?
Challenges. Honestly, the biggest challenge for me right now is, so I got my real estate license less than a year ago, and the one struggle that I'm finding with that is because I'm more of an investor first, or maybe have an investor mindset first. A lot of times I feel like a lot of clients or people that are looking to buy homes in Hawaii, they just want to buy a home. They're not looking at it from a financial freedom standpoint, or they're not looking at it from investing or generating cash flow. So that's where I'm trying to find that balance where not everyone is looking to invest. Some people just want to buy a home and their dream is to grow old in that home and live there for 30 years and die there, right? So some people, I have to just realize that not everyone is looking for the same goals. And so like one of my friends, he just purchased like a $1.2 million home. And, when he was looking at it, he reached out to me and I told him, I know you're qualified for this purchase, but, for me, I would say, you should buy something more like in the 800 or 900,000 price range. So that way you're not pretty much maxing out your payment or maxing out your expenses every month. So that way you have some wiggle room to invest or, do other things with your money and grow some income or assets or whatnot. But I just felt like purchasing a home at 1.2 just really handcuffs your finances. But at the end of the day, he was happy with his purchase and he wants to grow old and live in that home, and that's his vision. So yeah, he's not right. There's not a wrong way to do it. But that's just where I'm struggling with finding that balance, that not everyone is looking to retire early, or not everyone is looking to generate extra income. But that I'm slowly, I'll tell you my opinion, but at the end of the day, you got to be happy with your decision, right?
Yeah, and I guess as a realtor, you're also in a good position to educate people to some extent, right? So if people just want to purchase a home, you could also, like tell them, okay, you could not just look at where you want to live, how you want to live, but also invest, or at least keep this in mind.
Yeah, I think the hard part is that in Hawaii, the prices, you see the great appreciation. So that's where a lot of people are. And they say, oh, I just want to buy a home here because it always goes up and appreciates. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like appreciation is nice, but it really only benefits you if you ever sell the property, right? I mean, the property appreciates, but if you're not accessing that equity, or if you don't sell the property, you're not really using those gains. And that's where a lot of people in Hawaii, they're, most of their wealth is built or is in their homes. And, and and then they get old and then now they don't have access to cash flow or enough funds. So now, they have to either sell their home or figure out another way to pay for their expenses or their lifestyle. And so for me, like I said, my whole mindset just shifted, and I said, I want to generate income because I don't want to really be on a budget when I'm retired. I don't want to be on a fixed income when I'm older. I want to enjoy and live my life, and that's where the generating the extra or the passive income is going to come into play.
And if people want to discuss this topic further with you, what's the best way to find you and get in touch with you?
Oh, so my handline is this financial firefighter. So I'm on Instagram, YouTube channel, Twitter, Facebook. I trying to figure out TikTok, but I don't know. Maybe it's gonna get banned. But I haven't figured out TikTok yet. So I have TikTok, but I'm not on there very often. But I would say Instagram or YouTube is probably the easiest way to get a hold of me.
And then thanks for taking the time.
No, I've been looking forward to this. I mean, finally glad we got to connect. I mean, it's 5:30 in the morning here in Hawaii, but I love it. I mean, I'm an early riser, so it actually worked out well.